Boo! Did I scare you? How are we doing? How are we doing today? We are here. It's time for the Nightmare Odyssey stream. How is everybody doing today? My name is Scout, and you are watching Parafox live on twitch.tv/ParafoxTV, youtube.com/Parafox, or the main boy, Parafox Studio. How is everybody doing today? Woo! I just did 3 lines of cocaine. I'm ready. Chat, how are we doing, boys? How are we doing? You doing good? Good, good, good. That's good to know. That is good to know. Thank you, Elise Leo 121 and Slushy Brain for the follow. I hope you guys are having wonderful days. Chat, we have an amazing show here for you guys today. For the first ever Nightmare Odyssey. The first ever annual Nightmare Odyssey. We're going to be looking at a bunch of spooky stuff. We're going to be getting spooked out of our goddamn noggins. And then we're going to be playing some Phasmophobia with TK, as well as Escape the Backrooms and Panicore. Those are also games that we're going to be playing. We're going to get spooked, as you guys know, alright? I need you guys to get close and I need you guys to get close and personal with me here. Alright? Chat, I don't do good with scary games. I think you guys know this. I do not do well with spooky games. So, I want you guys to keep that in mind. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you guys. It's been a while since I have streamed. And that's because I was working very hard on all of the graphics for all of the different for this very stream. And hopefully, if today goes well, then next year, when we do Nightmare Odyssey again, we can make it a higher production value kind of thing. I don't know. I'm thinking that Nightmare Odyssey could be like a really cool, like kind of like Thankmas, like our version of Thankmas. Maybe like next year we can do like we can do Nightmare Odyssey as like a charity stream, because you guys know how much I absolutely despise getting horrified or getting spooked. So, you know, why not do it for the good? That's what I was thinking, though. That's what I was just thinking. And if you live in the Americas, please make sure that you are voting. That's very important. You got to go out and vote. Really important. But anyway, hey, I just realized we surpassed 100 followers on Twitch. Let's go. That's some poggers stuff right there. That is some poggers stuff right there. That is some Sigma, really cool stuff right there. We're only gonna get bigger from here, baby. Ghost, stop licking your butthole over there. Disgusting. Have you no decency? It's Nightmare Odyssey. Anyway. So. Let's get into, watching some of the, or doing some spooky stuff. Let's get into the spookies already. It's about time that we finally start getting into the spooky season. I think that a good way to start off would be to read a little bit of r/NoSleep. Because, you know, I want to get myself in the mood, you know. I want to lube myself up, get myself prepared in various ways. And I think that r/NoSleep is the best way to do it. Alright, let's just lower the volume down a little bit. Alright. There's no sleeping allowed here. I was pretty sure my wife was cheating on me, but reality was so much worse. Oh no. Alright. By aggravating _road 2692. My suspicions of infidelity first started when Steph was spending way too much time on her phone. She's never been very tech dependent, so it was odd when her phone glued itself to her palm. She would smile whenever her phone vibrated, giggled after reading her new message, and text back excitedly, all while the look of love marked her face. I recognized that look all too well. It was the look she'd had for me all those years ago when we first started dating. All while I was sure of my wife's infidelity, I needed to validate my suspicions. Mike is clipping a little. Damn it. Okay. Alright. Hold on. Let me raise the... There we go. Oh, God. Hold up. Hold up. We got this. I'll just back away from the mic. I'll just, Yep. Oh. That's a hard... I have a hard limiter on it. Why is it doing that? Okay, let's try that. Alright. I snuck up behind her and watched as her fingers... Is it still clipping? My God. What's happening? Oh, is it because of the gain? Let's see. Oh, yep, it's because of the gain. It's because of the gain, you guys. Okay, there we go. Now gain I can into. I snuck up behind her and watched as her fingers danced across the keypad. But when the chat log came into view, my heart dropped. Her phone buzzed, and an image pixelated on the screen. I fully expected a nude or something, but it was a photo of a man. Only the man was not whole. He was severed into many different pieces. His limbs decorated a hard concrete floor. His head pressed up against the ground, and his torso slit wide open, exposing a hollow chest cavity. I almost swore under my breath, but remained composed. Steph giggled at the image and began crafting a reply. Cute. I love how you left the eyes in the head this time. She clicked the send button, biting her thumb in anticipation of a reply. 3 sequentially blinking dots appeared on the bottom of the screen. The message lit up her phone. I was saving them for you. The reply read flirtatiously. Steph repositioned herself in giddy excitement and hurriedly crafted a reply. Why is she always why is he saying crafting a reply? This is not Minecraft. You mean it? When I come down? She wrote joyously. My heart must have been banging against my chest at this point because Steph swiveled her head in my direction, pressing the phone to her person. I'm doing a reenactment of this situation. What are you doing? She said in angry annoyance. I had so many questions festering on the end of my tongue, but my mind sputtered, still trying to come to terms with my wife's horrific messages. I just stood there, frozen, like some shook, stricken fool. Steph, however, filled the empty air with a violent reprimand. How dare you violate My personal space! Is that clipping too much still? Maybe I'll turn it down. Now all good? Okay. You're an inconsiderate asshole! I can't believe you! She spat out in fury. Her open palm smacked across my cheek. Ah! Snapping me out of my bewilderment. When my eyes refocused on Steph, I saw a bloodthirsty rage stewing behind her pupils. I tried to say something. Anything. But what can you say when your ex-wife is texting with Jeffrey Dahmer? Fuck you, Ryan. She hissed and retreated into our bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I slumped down on the couch, contemplating what I'd just seen. Steph's never been a violent person, but here I was, clutching my cheek, while she was laughing at the murder scene on her phone. Night had fallen, and Steph never came out of the bedroom. That whole time I weighed my options. Should I call the police? Should I pack my shit and leave? Do I gather more evidence and get her admitted into some psych ward? The choice may seem easy from the outside looking in, but it wasn't easy for me. I wanted to give Steph the benefit of the doubt, but to do that, I needed to know the truth. I slowly creaked the bedroom door open and saw a figure sleeping soundly under the covers. On the nightstand rested Steph's phone. I cautiously entered the room, doing my best not to wake my sleeping wife. Luckily, Steph's always been a heavy sleeper. When the phone lit up the dark room, Steph stirred, but quickly regained her restful slumber. I immediately opened her messages and almost dropped the phone. The gory messages were sent under the name Devil Emoji. Never in my life had an emoji filled me with so much dread. I needed to know who this monster was. So I texted from Steph's phone, hoping to get a reply. "Who is this?" my message said. I clicked the send button, gripping the phone with a newfound determination. This guy's a weeb. I know. Not a very inventive message to send when trying to get information out of your wife's lover. But what can I say? I was in a delusional state. Anyone would be if they found themselves in such a situation. Not a second later, the phone buzzed. What? Who is this? The new message read. The person on the other line seemed to be mocking me. But that thought was swallowed when I noticed the number directly under the demon emoji. The messages were coming directly from Steph's phone. She was messaging herself. Wait, what? How does that work? Okay, I replayed the memory from earlier in the day and vividly remember the 3 sequentially blinking dots at the bottom of the screen as someone else crafted a message from the other end. Steph's fingers, however, remain still. This doesn't make any sense, I thought to myself, but my blood ran cold as the 3 dots once again danced at the bottom of the chat log. The phone buzzed, and a sentence appeared on the screen. Are you scared? What the hell? I said as a cold chill ran down my spine. Suddenly, the figure under the covers began flailing wildly. The quick movement startled me so much that it made me drop the phone, and the device tumbled under the bed. Steph? I called out apprehensively at the figure under the sheets, but there was no response. Only more frantic thrashing. Honey, are you okay? I said with a quivering lip. Honey, are... I grasped the edge of the blanket and yanked it off my wife. But when the figure came into view, Steph was nowhere to be found. But a familiar face did greet me with a smile. It was the fragmented man from the gory images on Steph's phone. The severed limbs moved around disgustingly. The torso was just as empty, and the head smiled from ear to ear, almost thankful for its sorry state. What is this? The only words that came to my mind. Out of nowhere, a demonic cackle comes from the underside of my bed. Witchy and determined. Witchy and demented, the laugh caused my skin to break out in goosebumps. I instantly took a step back. But a hand darted out from under the bed frame and grasped my ankle. In the dark. The hand looked gnarled, but I noticed a familiar wedding ring on one of those fingers. Steph's head crest from the darkness, and her eyes twisted upward in my direction. I told you to mind your own business, she said in a screechy, gritted tone. She bared her teeth, which were now filed down to a point. With her shark-like smile, she cut into the flesh on my leg. I winced in pain. Oh! Instinct took over, and I kicked... and I kicked her in the face. Steph retreated under the bed. Her witchy laugh regained its full voice. You shouldn't have done that, she said with the twisted tone. Steph, what's going on? I said, desperate for answers. Steph didn't answer my question, and only returned a statement that made my confusion grow. He's coming for you, she said in an icy monotone voice. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have to restate that. He's coming for you. Who's coming? Steph, talk to me, I begged. He? I thought to myself. Suddenly, the severed man on the bed re-entered my thoughts. I panned my gaze back over to the fragmented figure to find its head now on its side, looking directly at me. Wait, is this supposed to be real? I thought this was something someone wrote. Yeah, everything on Reddit is real. What are you talking about? This is all true. This actually happened. His eerie smile was just as wide. His limbs just as mangled. Despite his appearance, the man didn't seem like a threat. One of his severed arms began to lift itself off the bed. Index finger extended, pointing to the bedroom door. My heart dropped to the pit of my stomach as the floorboards creaked in that direction. A tall, goat-like figure now stood in the doorway. Its legs were furry and hooved. Its torso strangely human. And its hands monstrously clawed. But I knew its face. Its face matched the Its face matched the demon emoji on my wife's phone. Demon emoji! Though the creature before me was less cartoony and more gut-wrenching. I started to hyperventilate and back away till my rear met the wall behind me. A grin inched across the creature's face. It was finding pleasure in my terror. Is the demon emoji in the room right now? It better not be. I'm strapped. I'm strapped with lavender. No demon will come after me now. Steph crawled out from under the bed, glancing at me. She twisted her head and made her way to the creature awaiting her arrival. There was a glimmer of lust in the beast's blackened eyes as Steph crawled over with animalistic dexterity. The witch lady under the bed is real. If you don't feed her daily, she will eat you. Can confirm from personal experience. Yeah. I got two witches under my bed on a daily basis. I have to feed them pomegranates, or else they will come out from under my bed and they'll eat my nipples. When she reached its leg, wait, what? When she reached its legs, she wrapped herself around one of them, caressing it as if it were her saving grace. Okay, which 14-year-old wrote this? Which 14-year-old wrote this? Timmy, you have to go to school tomorrow. What's going on here? Don't stick you feet out of the covers or she'll eat them. Stick your ass out instead. I stick my ass out all the time. It's totally normal. The creature returned his gaze to me and gave a chuckle that tipped off the octave scale. He reached 2 hands to my wife's face and pulled her up by the underside of her chin? What? Without breaking its connection with me, it parted my wife's lips with a slimy kiss. I just wanted to add the effects. Its fork tongue worked its way down Steph's throat, and a lump was clearly visible from the outside of her neck as it probed deep into her chest cavity. As it came back out, the smacking of saliva filled the air? What? And tendrils of spit clung to Steph's face. With the same love-filled stare she's been giving her phone, she gazed into the monster's eyes. "You're such a tease," Steph giggled as she caressed the beast's cheek. Through a strange tongue and in a deep voice, the monster ignored Steph and spoke directly at me. Ego ticum agam posti. When the creature saw that I didn't understand, it turned to Steph, expecting her to translate. Steph rolled her eyes, but relented. "He says he'll be back for you." She gave me a dismissive glance and returned her eyes to the monster. The beast grinned and flung my wife over his shoulder. Damn, this beast is a Giga Chad. Steph giggled in excitement, and they both disappeared into the dark hallway. This is like one of those mobile game ads where it's just like it just shows a beta dude that has a girlfriend, and then the alpha male beast comes and just picks up the beta's wife and just takes her with him. I was left there in shock. But as the shock began to melt away, I felt the overwhelming need to cry. Tears streamed down my face, but I was unsure what emotion I was feeling. What? Was it fear or sadness? I didn't know. I had almost forgotten about the severed man on my bed. But my attention quickly returned to him as his mangled body began seizing. I watched as the man's eyes rolled to the back of his head, and foam spilled out of his mouth. As fast as it all started, the man was still. I cautiously approached, expecting the man to lunge as I neared. But as I looked at his face, the color had drained from his head. I was sure he wasn't coming back this time. Morning came, and I was still in my bedroom, afraid to leave in fear of the beast coming for me. But eventually I gained the courage and searched the house. Everything seemed normal for the most part, except for one thing. In all of our photos that decorated the house, Steph had disappeared. Oh my God. It was only me. I checked her closet and everything was missing. Her contact on my phone had even vanished. The more I searched, the more I realized Steph's existence had been wiped from reality. But one thing I wished had disappeared still lay in my bed. The severed man. I thought about calling the police. But how was I supposed to explain a chopped up body in my bedroom? Was I supposed to blame it on my wife, who seemed to no longer exist? Would I tell them that a devilish monster was their true suspect? No. No one would believe me. I decided to wrap him up in a rug and bury him in the backyard. When he was planted in the soil, I placed a little tree on top of the grave, hoping it would dissuade anyone from digging there. As impossible as it seems, I tried to forget about the whole ordeal. The ordeal? Why are you calling it an ordeal? I guess it was a trauma response, trying to deny that it all happened. But earlier this morning, I received a message from an unknown number that showed the bad memories back. That shoved the bad memories back into my throat. I'll be there soon. Emoji. The message said. I'm on edge all the time now. Every strange sound causes me to panic. I'm scared to check any messages that come into my phone. I've been hearing the clattering of hooved feet on my floorboards. It's toying with me. I know it. I need help. I'm scared shitless. What the hell do I do? Are you guys scared yet? Get thee to a church. Salvation lies within. Or call Orion Pest Control. They have experience dealing with the unusual. There we go. That's more like it. Call a priest. The kiss you're described was just ew. Happy Halloween? Let us know what happens and if you are still okay. Or sorry, Olay. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole. Feel guilty to say I guess the demon wanna play some 3-piece stuff with you too? Nobody in this comment section is taking it seriously. I can't believe it. No one in this generation takes things seriously these days. When something clearly as real as this happens, they just turn a blind eye and they just think, oh, I'm just gonna joke about this. First things first, I need an update. Second, get your ass to church and tell a priest and get your ass... What? Hold up. What? Am I having a stroke? get your ass to church and tell a priest and get your ass a whole lot of holy water. Third, have the priest perform an exorcism. Fourth, filed for divorce and move. Don't take anything with you, not clothes or furniture. You know what? Just have someone dump everything in the dumpster. Now that is the type of seriousness I need. Okay, Luna Craft. Bet you're not a Wiccan. I'm sorry, it's LunaCraft 92. Please, name them correctly. Even worse. Yeah, it's like you're telling me that there's 91 other LunaCrafts? That's incredible. Let's see what else is on. It's on No Sleep. Oh my god, yeah, that is way too long. Maybe we should, yeah, let's watch some scary videos. I want to get in the scary mood. Scary videos. Oh no. 10 scary videos of ghosts caught on camera. Oh, that's so scary. Wait a minute. Where's, like, Mr. Nightmare? What? Oh my god, 3 horrifying true Facebook marketplace horror stories. That's more like it. Too scary.
When I moved out of my parents' house and into my own apartment, I had a lot of junk and stuff that I needed to get rid of.
Junk!
I never liked Craigslist because I always found it sketchy, especially after hearing so many...
Is this AI generated photos right here? This looks AI generated.
stories about it. So I listed a lot of my things on Facebook Marketplace. Things that wouldn't fit in my apartment and that my dad wanted out of the house. My weight set, some old childhood toys, book sets, and a whole bunch of other things. The weight set was what I listed for the most money. It had a barbell, a plate tree stand, and a bunch of plates. I was selling it for $340, which I thought wasn't a bad deal. Surprisingly, I wasn't getting many bites. I'd have some people here and there message asking if it's still available, and then never message me again about it. Until a few days after posting it, a guy named Joe messaged me showing interest. His profile picture was pretty grainy, but it was a guy with a fishing hat on holding up a fish. His account info
Never
was
trust
private.
a fisherman.
I couldn't see how many friends he had or anything. Only that we had 3 mutuals. All 3 of them were girls from my town. The guy's last name was also the last name of a Joe I knew from my town who used to date a girl I was somewhat friendly with. So I right away assumed it was him, especially since I knew that guy liked to fish. After telling him it's still available, he said, "Great, when can I pick it up?" I was pleasantly surprised he didn't try to haggle the price down at all. I said I'm available any night after 7. He said he could come by tonight around 11 p.m. after work. I said that's fine.
What?
A little late in my opinion, but if that's what worked for his schedule, it worked for me.
Why would
I then
you
decided
agree
to
to
just be a little
doing
friendly
that
and
at
say,
night?
"Hey, you used to date Gina, right?" I saw the typing indicator in the chat for a second.
That's just asking
but
for
then it went
being
away
murdered.
and he didn't reply. Not for a couple minutes. Then he said yes. I thought it was a little strange, the random pause, but it could have been anything. Maybe he thought it was weird I brought it up, so I just said, "I knew I recognized your name, LOL." He read the message but didn't respond for half an hour. Then I got a message back from him saying, "Yeah, LOL. Can you send me your address and I'll let you know when I'm coming?" So I sent him my address.
That's disgusting.
He read it and didn't respond for many hours. By the time I got home from work, it was around 6. I went to the gym and got back around 7:30, the whole time waiting for some kind of acknowledgement from Joe. And then he finally messaged back asking for my number. I gave it to him, and seconds later, I got a text from a number with our area code. I have an iPhone, and when I texted him back, it was green. I sometimes will find that to be a red flag and possibly scams, because most people...
Android users are not scammers. What the fuck? I, as an Android user, take offense to that. In fact, I think that Apple users are the red flags. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. You heard me. iPhone users, red flags. You're in a cult. You are in an ecosystem cult. I'm sorry. You have dedicated your entire life to a $1 trillion corporation. I'm sorry to tell you this. Me, I like my open sourced software. Okay? I like my Android phone that I can put big anime titties on as my app icons. You can't do that. Your iPhone. Fuck you. You suck. Jesus.
I know have iPhones, but I wasn't thinking that way with this because I knew this guy already. He said he'd be over in a few hours, and so I continued about my business. It was now around 11 o'clock, and I was waiting patiently for his text or call. I sent a follow-up saying, "Let me know when you're coming." It was around 11:30 that he texted me, "I'm here, come out." I looked out the front window of my apartment, and I saw a dark-colored car out front in the street.
Yeah, that's totally AI.
I tried
generated
calling
right
him
there.
so I could tell him that I need help bringing the weights outside. He rejected my call, and then he texted again, "Yo, come out." I texted back, "I
Yo,
see you.
come
You can
out.
come in. I just need help with the weights. There's a lot of them." He texted back, "Nah, gotta see if you're straight first." I had to process what the hell that even meant for a second. All I knew was this did not seem like the way this white-as-hell fishing dude
Are
would
you
be
gay
texting.
or are you straight?
I tried calling
I
one
don't
more
buy
time,
from
and he denied
straight.
the call
Or
again.
I don't buy from gay people.
Now I was suspicious. I decided to text that girl Gina, along with the mutual friends
Maybe
I
I
had
don't
with
buy
Joe on
from
Facebook.
straight people.
The first one to text back was this girl Angela, who said, "OMG, that's a catfish. Someone's pretending to be him." When I asked why she added it, she said it must have been a different name when it added her. I looked out the window again, and the car was still there. Someone was about to do something bad to me. I wasn't sure what, or who, or why. I had no way to contact the real Joe because he didn't seem to have any actual social media profiles. Not public, at least. I kept the door shut and locked and didn't respond any further. I turned off the light in the living room and kinked the blind just a bit. And I swear on my life, there was a guy hiding behind one of the bushes in front of the house. I watched until the car outside honked its horn, and then I saw the guy in the bushes run to the car, and then the car sped off. Witnessing that, I didn't feel relief. I felt gut-wrenching fear, not only of what I just narrowly avoided, but the fact that those people now had my address. The Facebook profile was deleted the next day, after a bunch of people reported it, though I think the people who made the account deleted it or deactivated it themselves. Joe himself confirmed he had nothing to do with any of that, and that someone must have been using his pictures and name to try and scam people in the area, though I'm not so sure it was someone trying to scam random people, because days later I got this threatening text. "Hey yo bitch, watch your back, we know where you live. Keep trying to talk to my girl, see what happens, man, we'll fuck you up right outside your crib. Sleep with one eye open, pussy, we watching." I brought this to the police, but it was such a low priority report to them that I doubt they ever even looked into it. I have no reason to lie when I say I haven't tried talking to anyone's girl in the slightest. At the time of this incident, I had been seeing a girl pretty much exclusively. I think it's connected. I don't know who it is, I don't know what they were going to do to me if I opened the door, but unfortunately I've had to live in slight fear in my new apartment ever since moving here. Fortunately, I haven't gotten any more threatening or random texts, but I still pretty much always check outside my windows first before leaving the apartment at night.
Or just don't use Facebook Marketplace. That's also an option. Oh, Story 2 by Jeremy. This one I heard is 2 times as scary.
It had to be 2018. I was selling this old pinball machine that we had from our childhood.
Ah, yes, everybody knows Sayaka. Everybody knows that. Classic pinball game right there.
It wasn't some crazy arcade level pinball machine that would cost thousands of dollars, but it was definitely worth a few $100. It had been sitting in my parents' attic for the longest time, so I wanted to sell it before one of my sisters had the same idea. I didn't really want anyone to know about this because then I'd have to split the money, so I chose to list it when my family was away on a trip that I couldn't go on due to work. I'm a bit of a sneak, I know, but you gotta do what you gotta do. My parents' house is on the really nice side of town, but not in a gated community. I put the pinball machine up on Facebook Marketplace for $200. The next day, I got a message from some account with no profile picture with the name Jasmine, expressing interest in the pinball machine. They offered $175. I agreed to that number. We set up a time for when she would come, but when that time came, she never showed up. She messaged me saying, "I'll be there soon, I'll be there soon." It was getting late now, and I had work the next day. I asked her if she would be here by 11 the latest. She said 11:30. I asked if we could do this tomorrow instead, but she said she's already on her way. So I just stayed up a little later waiting. 11:45 rolls around, and she finally tells me that she's here. I went to the front door and saw there was a
11:45.
What I wasn't expecting was to see all 4 doors of the car opening and 4 people stepping out. 1 girl and 3 guys. I messaged her, "Are you here with people?" At this point, she wasn't answering her messages anymore. I watched as the 4 people approached my door. I kept the storm door locked. These 3 guys looked kind of big, and all 4 of these people looked like trouble. As they got close enough, I said, "Are you Jasmine?" She said through the door, "Yeah." I said, "I can't let all of you guys in my house. My parents are asleep." Obviously lying.
My parents are
Jasmine,
asleep.
or so she claimed her name was, tried opening the door yelling, "What are you talking about?" As she saw it was locked, she started knocking on the glass. I decided it was best to shut the front door at this point. I heard their voices yelling outside for a while and the doorbell ringing. I heard one of the guys, or maybe even multiple of them, yelling obscenities and insults at me through the 2 doors, making me only gladder I didn't let them in. These were not the kinds of people I wanted in my parents' house, especially when I'm alone. I realized this whole thing was an awful idea when I heard their voices laughing and yelling on the front stoop for like 10 minutes after I shut the door.
Doorbell gave me more anxiety.
I looked out my little brother's bedroom window upstairs, which is directly above the driveway, and I saw one of the guys pissing in the empty driveway. No cars in the driveway was not a good look. The girl yelled something directed at me as they finally started to walk away, but I didn't hear what it was. I just thanked the Lord when they drove away, and I went upstairs to go to sleep. I was having trouble sleeping that night though, thinking of the interaction. So, fully awake, a couple of hours after climbing into bed, I heard a crash from downstairs. It was unmistakably the sound of a window being shattered. I sprang up, right before sprinting to make sure the bedroom door was locked. I stopped myself, and instead quietly got out of bed and tiptoed to the door. I had already locked it. I tiptoed back to my bed and had my phone in hand, ready to call 911. For some stupid reason, I was waiting till I heard any other kind of sounds before dialing, and eventually, I heard the sound I needed to hear. Footsteps rapidly coming upstairs. I dialed 911 as I felt like...
What kind of dumbass? Who is this guy? Oh, I'm gonna wait until I hear another sign of danger before I start calling 911. You know, I need a visual rep. I need a visual cue. All right, I need to see the door swing open and a big giant dude coming at me with a hatchet before I start dialing 911. I think that's the best course of action to take here.
Throwing up. The footsteps outside the room didn't even sound like they were trying to be quiet.
I gotta call out. I gotta hear.
I whispered the entire time I was on the line with the dispatcher.
Is anybody there?
Time was moving in reverse. I hid literally under my bed as I listened to people ransacking the house. In reality, they were in and out in less than 5 minutes, way before the police actually showed up. The backyard window was shattered. Things were stolen from just about each room. Ironically, the pinball machine wasn't taken. What happened from there was I got a police report number. I made an appointment to see a couple detectives at the police station and shared with them all the details I had, including the Facebook account of the Jasmine girl. I fabricated the story a bit, saying someone in the house threatened me. My reasoning for this was I felt that this case would actually be taken seriously if I claimed I was threatened. To my surprise, they did take this seriously. The detectives apparently gathered the necessary data of the Facebook account in question to track this Jasmine girl.
Yeah, I lied.
Lived a few towns over, in a less than desirable area. And with a search warrant, they searched her
I lied
house
about the severity
and
of the
multiple
case.
belongings stolen from my parents' house.
What of it?
She routed out the 3 men who accompanied her, and they were all charged with burglary. I think most of the stuff that was stolen was recovered. I'm sure there were some things that I wasn't aware of that were stolen that were never returned, but to this day, it hasn't come up, so it's fine.
What about your
I think
grandma's
by me claiming
ashes?
I was verbally threatened may have definitely helped make the detectives take this more seriously, but I could be wrong. My family was of course livid at first, but came to be understanding about it in the end.
Natty Matt. Uh-oh.
I was searching Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for a new phone. This was a long time ago, so it had to be like an iPhone 7 or something. Phones still had the home buttons back then. I found this listing for a phone. It was some generic looking post. iPhone whatever for sale. New, around $300. It was a really, really good deal for the time, that I remember. He told me all the small details I needed to know. That it was factory unlocked, never opened, and stuff like that. He sent me a video of the box too, still sealed. The guy, whose name was Melvin, seemed nice and easy to talk to over text. I got his number and we discussed a pickup point. His location on the Facebook ad was much closer to me, but over text he was telling me he was only there this morning, and now he went about an hour north. I wasn't happy about this, but this was a really good deal and I didn't want to pass it up. I started asking a bunch of friends if they'd want to come on an adventure with me. Really just a way of making the chore of accompanying me for an hour drive seem fun. My friend Martina actually agreed to come with, on the promise that I buy her food for coming.
Yeah,
so this Melvin guy sent me the address of a police precinct about an hour away, saying he only does deals in police precinct parking lots to avoid scams. I obviously had no problem with this. In fact, it made me feel a little more confident in this whole thing.
I didn't get an iPhone, instead I got my underwear on over my head.
She being in the car and having someone to talk to made the trip more fun. It was also a Friday night, so afterwards we could go out and do whatever we wanted. When I got off the highway, we were about 10 minutes away, and we found ourselves in a very secluded,
why am I yawning
area.
so much?
It seemed like a lot of different wooded areas. Occasional buildings and houses, and then more woods. We got to the police precinct, and there was no one visibly parked in the parking lot, besides empty police cars, of course. We drove around the whole building a couple times and didn't see this Melvin guy, who said he was in a black Altima. So I decided to call him. He picked up and said he's having issues with his car on the side of the road, and asked if I could come to him. He sent his location and I checked it. He was on the side of some random road with nothing on either side, and by nothing I mean woods. That's the kind of area we were in. He asked me to come help him jump his car. He had jumper cables. I said,
all right.
yeah, I guess I could do that. I mean, we drove the hour to get there. I didn't want to just drive another hour for nothing. Martina was shaking her head the whole time I was on the phone. The guy said, see you soon, and hung up. Martina then basically screamed, no way, this is sketchy, we're going home. I told her we'll just drive past the location he sent and see what's up. I did agree with her though. This seemed incredibly sketchy. I just was very upset if we drove 2 hours for nothing. We did drive to the location, and when we got to it, we saw the reflection of a car's front lights coming up on the pitch black road we found ourselves on. As we got closer, I slowed down, and it was in fact a black car.
All of this for an iPhone 7?
We couldn't see anyone inside or outside of it. Mind you, it was very dark, but I feel like we would have seen someone's head on the inside or something. Martina said to just keep driving, and I said I know. It was about the sketchiest thing I'd ever seen. A pitch black road between two patches of woods, no streetlights, no other cars in sight. A pretty convenient place to break down and have someone who's coming with a wad of cash to buy something from you come and meet. I drove right past it. Immediately, Melvin starts calling me over and over. I ignored every single call. Then he texted me saying, I saw you just pass me, why didn't you stop? Turn around. Ignored. Martina is a very positive person, so she laughed about this whole situation, and then said, okay, you owe me food. So I looked up the nearest diner, and we stopped there for some food. It was a quiet, small diner. We were just about the only people in there, even on a Friday night.
Wait,
the waitress just took our coffee order when a lone guy with his hood up steps into the diner and sits in one of the bar stools.
And bacon?
He was wearing a navy blue, dirty-looking hoodie. He glanced over to Martina and I, then looked straight ahead, talking to the lady working behind the counter, apparently ordering a coffee. The man kept glancing at our table like every minute, so I whispered to Martina, don't look now, but that guy at the counter might be the Melvin guy. The waitress came with our coffees and asked if we were ready to order. I said a few minutes, please. When the lady behind the counter handed that man his coffee, he said loud and clear, thank you, darling. It was that guy from the phone's voice, Melvin or whatever his real name was. I told Martina that's him. We need to pay the check and leave. I waved the server over and whispered to her if we can just get the check. She asked if something's wrong, and I noticed the guy look over as I said this. I said yes, we just needed some coffee for the road. So she got the check, I paid, we downed our coffees, and left the building. We got in my car, and Martina said, oh my god, he's getting up. I looked into the diner and saw that guy leaving towards the door. As quickly as possible, I drove us out of that parking lot and sped down the road. And yes, we noticed a black car in the parking lot that could have been the one that we saw on the side of the road. I was driving too fast for him to have caught up. We got back on the highway, and I was flying for a while.
This is so scary.
So I got a low tire pressure light come on. I knew instantly he slashed my tire. The PSI was going down fast, so to avoid damage, I pulled to the side of the highway and parked it. I went out to confirm that my tire was slashed. I had to replace the tire with the spare, which took about 15 minutes. The whole thing was a disaster, and if you're wondering, yes, I still got Martina dinner that night. Now Martina and I look at it as a crazy story that we can look back on and tell people. It's absolutely horrifying, though, how close we were to walking into a trap.
Yep. I'm glad that we have that story to tell to other people. Meanwhile, we just, almost died. We almost got murdered, but we did get a story out of it. What are they, journalists? Mr. Nightmare. That didn't scare me. I need more scaries. Give me animated, scary, or horror stories. Oh, no. More like Mr. Daysteed. True. Not the 3 true Taco Bell horror stories animated by IMR Scary Tales. I'm about to shit my pants.
I hated Thursdays. Not because it was the start of the weekend rush, but because of Jerry, the creepy customer who walked in like clockwork every Thursday at 3 p.m. sharp. I'd been working at this restaurant for about 6 months, and his routine was as predictable as the stale nacho cheese we served. He always ordered the same thing, a Crunchwrap Supreme, a side of cinnamon twists, and a large Mountain Dew. The moment he stepped through the door, my stomach dropped.
Hey.
I couldn't explain it. There was just something unsettling about him. He wore a faded baseball cap pulled low over his forehead, and his eyes were always glued to me. I'd catch him smiling, more like leering,
Too
really,
scary.
while he placed his order.
Hey there, beautiful. What's a girl like you doing in a place like this?
I'd just roll my eyes, trying to smile politely.
Oh my
Just
god.
serving tacos, sir. Just like the last
It's
time.
He
Nosferatu.
drolled over me for some time before moving to the restroom. My co-workers, Jess and Mark, would stand behind me, stifling their laughter.
Maybe he takes a big dump every Thursday.
Jess joked one day,
That's a
nudging
good
Mark.
one.
They both
That's
chuckled,
a good
but I could
one.
only manage a weak smile.
You should ask him how his bowels are doing. Very funny.
I muttered, glaring at them. But
That's
as annoying
so
as they were,
fucking
I felt
hilarious.
a little comfort in knowing they were there.
You know,
Over
bowel
the next
movements,
weeks,
am
I
I
started
right?
noticing a strange pattern during his visits. He would come in every Thursday afternoon, place the same order to go while checking me out, and then using the restroom for a couple of minutes before grabbing his order and leaving. One
Probably
Thursday,
just did some
after he left the
heroin. There's
restroom,
nothing wrong with
the
that.
bathroom light would
It's
flicker
your God-given
momentarily.
right.
At first, I brushed it off as faulty wiring. Taco Bell wasn't exactly known for its maintenance, but as the flickering continued, I felt my curiosity grow. One Thursday, the light flickered longer than usual. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. When the shift ended, I mentioned it to
like
Mark.
a wiring problem.
Hey, can you check the bathroom light? It's been acting weird.
He waved me off. Just a loose bulb. I'll look at it later. But it bugged me. The next day, I asked our maintenance guy, Dave, to take a peek. He grumbled, but reluctantly agreed.
Yeah, probably just a wiring issue, Ella.
He said, scratching his head while inspecting the light fixture.
But I'll check it out for you.
After a few minutes of poking around, he said,
You're right about one thing. This Taco Bell has some odd features. Look at this air vent.
He pointed up to a vent close to the ceiling, nearly hidden from view.
That is pretty
It was
weird.
unusual for a place like this, but I didn't think much of it.
Is
air
it
vent?
broken?
I asked, squinting.
Nope, just strange. Not sure why it's here. Could be some leftover from the old hotel they built over.
I shrugged, not giving it
Why
much
is this
thought
Canadian
until
talking
later
to me
that
like
night.
this?
My curiosity
No.
piqued. I decided to check it out
Probably
after
just
closing hours.
a,
I climbed up on a
probably
chair,
just a
unscrewed
wiring
the vent
fixture.
cover, and peered inside. That's when I saw it. A tiny red blinking light. At first, I thought it was part of the ventilation system, but something
was
about its
Rudolph.
positioning struck me as odd. My heart raced. I pulled out my phone and snapped a picture, then decided to climb back down. I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to know what it was. That night, after I got home, I replayed the day's events in my mind. Why did I feel like I was being watched? The following Thursday, I approached the vent again, my heart pounding. I unscrewed it and looked inside, but the light was gone. Confused, I checked the camera feed in the kitchen. Just then, the familiar voice broke my concentration.
Invented.
Hey there, gorgeous.
The creep said, stepping up to the counter. I forced a smile.
It's
Hi.
Nosferatu.
What can I get you today?
As he placed his order, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. As he left for the bathroom, I was overwhelmingly compelled to follow him. I glanced at the bathroom door, and for the first time, I felt a strange urge to see what he was doing in there.
What?
After he left, while Eve teasing me and making some comments about my body, I couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease.
Whoa,
I decided to grab a...
Why would you just throw that out like that? Oh yeah, while my coworker was body shaming me, I was thinking to myself, I wonder what that light in that vent was doing. Wonder what that was all about.
After he left, while Eve teasing me and making some comments about my body, I couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease. I decided to grab a ladder and check the vent again. I climbed up and unscrewed it, but I didn't find just the light. I found a hidden camera aimed toward the toilet. Horror washed over me. It had an SSD card attached, which I pulled out. I informed Jess, who brought her laptop. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were many people, including us, who were captured, various parts of us visible. He had meticulously recorded his victims. I felt sick to my stomach. I immediately called the police, my voice trembling as I reported the situation.
That's
They
pretty
reached
bad.
out, and together we made a plan. When he arrived the following Thursday, I could barely keep it together.
It's the
He followed
poop
his
goblin.
ritual, and then I watched from behind the counter as the police
Oh!
rushed in as soon as he emerged from the washroom. He was arrested. They searched his apartment, heart pounding until I got the call. He had over 8 weeks worth of private videos of various customers. I felt sick as I realized how an unassuming creep of a customer could pull something like this. I just couldn't continue with the job and left soon.
All right.
I never believed in ghosts. I didn't believe in much of anything, really.
Who
So
would,
when I was
right?
offered the night manager job at the Taco Bell in the small, forgotten town, I didn't pay any attention to the rumors. I was assigned one goal: control the night staff, who seemed to talk about strange happenings at the Taco Bell. The place was built on the site
Taco
of the old
Bell.
Grand Oaks Hotel, which collapsed 50 years ago, killing dozens during a New Year's Eve party. People whispered that it was haunted, but I figured it was just small town talk. My first night there, the crew was small, just me, Connor, and Lacey. Connor was a scrawny 19-year-old, clearly nervous about working the night shift. Lacey had been there for a few months and seemed tired, like she'd seen enough.
Whoever
Connor
wants
kept
to work
glancing
the
at me.
night shift.
You know about this place, right? Know what? I asked, barely looking up from
Actually,
my
no.
checklist.
Who wants to
It's,
work in
you know,
general? Nobody.
Haunted.
Nobody
He
wants
said,
to work.
lowering his voice like it was some big secret. Haunted? Seriously?
Taco Bell.
I shook my head. Come on, man, you don't actually believe that stuff. He swallowed. People see things, hear things, especially at night. I shrugged. It's an old building, that's all. The wind creaks,
Yeah.
the pipes knock, and people start imagining things. Lacey mumbled, almost too low to hear.
It's more than that.
Before I could ask what she meant, the headset crackled.
Lacey.
Static at first, but then I heard something
Your voice
beneath
changed.
it, a whisper. I glanced at the cameras. No cars in the drive-thru. Nobody near the speaker. Probably interference, I said, though even I didn't sound
Party
convinced.
time.
Connor paled.
That's how it starts.
I frowned. What?
The whispers. It always starts with the whispers. Then, the smoke.
I snorted. Smoke?
Nice.
Really? But as soon as I said it, I smelled it. Faint but unmistakable, like burnt wood or cigarettes. I walked around
Yeah, that's
checking
called
the
a
equipment.
placebo
Everything was
effect.
off. Nothing malfunctioning. The building's just old, I said, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling creeping into my gut. Let's get back to
After
work.
I dealt it, I smelt
That night dragged on. The drive-thru stayed empty. The dining area was quiet, and I could tell Connor and Lacey were jumpy.
They
Around
say
midnight,
once you shit
I
your
noticed
pants,
the
you can
security
actually
cameras
smell it
flicker.
afterwards.
I leaned in, watching the
I didn't
screen.
believe them.
First, they went grainy.
I didn't believe the propaganda.
Then some flies arrived particularly
happened.
close to the camera. Then, as crazy as it sounds, the flies formed a face, distorted,
What?
stretched, almost unrecognizable. It was gone in a
There
flash.
ain't no
Connor
security
saw my
camera at a
reaction.
Taco Bell that
You saw
has
it,
the
didn't you?
quality that's
I
able
saw
to
an old
see a
granny
fly.
I shook my head. It's just a glitch. Lacey's voice was barely above a whisper.
It's them.
I sighed.
It's them.
Who?
The people who died here.
She said, not even
Oh,
looking
no.
at me. Enough, I snapped.
Well, why
We're
don't
not
they
doing
introduce
this.
themselves?
No more ghost stories. Let's finish up. That is when suddenly I heard sounds, like someone was running back in the kitchen. I paused and listened carefully. There were just the three of us, and no customers. The two just stood paralyzed, clearly hearing the same sound too. Are you guys playing some tricks to scare the new managers away? They did not respond, so I went ahead towards the sounds of someone running.
They usually don't like to be disturbed when the kids are playing.
I paused. They were trying to rattle me, and somehow I felt that I couldn't let them succeed. If somehow I left this job, I wouldn't find another for months. I just couldn't.
Just leave them. They can get violent if bothered during their kitchen time.
You know what? You come with me. And Connor, you too. They exchanged glances before carefully coming after me as we went inside. Suddenly, the sound stopped. I turned all the lights on, but there was nobody. I couldn't understand how they were doing it, but there was no one who was running in the kitchen.
Party.
That is when suddenly the fryer malfunctioned. Oil started pouring out, catching a small fire. Connor screamed from the back, and I rushed in with a fire extinguisher to help. We barely got it under control, but that is when the smell of smoke filled the kitchen. But it wasn't from the fire. It was like the smell of rotten flesh mixed with smoke. I was too stunned to know how to respond. They couldn't have done this, but my rational mind still couldn't fathom what was happening. But that is when the boxes started falling. Heavy ones, stacking too high to fall on their own, but swiftly moving across like an invisible force was pulling them. They nearly hit Connor twice, and I knew it wasn't just bad luck. We ran out and closed the door behind. Suddenly, all the sounds stopped, except for the running of footsteps. Connor picked his bag and left immediately.
I love that
Lacey's
animation
feelings
right
were
there.
mutual.
I have seen some sick things here, but never that. This isn't just some haunting. They are trying to kill us, and I am done. I had to pay my grandma's bills, so I stuck for so long. But I'm not paid enough for this shit.
Lacey left as well, handing me the keys and quitting. I took a few minutes to come out of my shock. I still had to lock the place. But as it dawned on me how alone I was at this place, the power went out. No backup lights. Nothing. The whole place was plunged into darkness. I grabbed my phone.
Goddamn
No signal.
Taco Bell
I reached for the emergency flashlight,
wiring,
but it flickered weakly, barely casting any light. As I turned, through the flickering of the lights, I saw them. Figures, pale and faded, drifting through, now outside the kitchen as well. They were dressed in old clothes, like from the 1920s. There was a woman in a gown, her face twisted backwards. Her eyes met mine, hollow and empty. She reached out with a trembling hand, her fingers too long,
hurt me!
her mouth moving
Please!
but making no sound. My heart pounded. Then, a child started moving towards me as well, wailing. Then, an old man. Soon, they were all
Oh no,
drawn to
not
me.
the old man!
I backed up, ran for the door, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. Panicking, I grabbed a chair and threw it at the nearest window. The glass shattered, and I scrambled through, cutting my arms on the way out. I didn't stop running until my legs gave up.
They
I was
just
sick
want
in
their
bed for the
Crunchwrap
next
Supreme!
5 days, and then I quit. Working the late shift at Taco Bell isn't generally exciting. Still, nothing could have prepared us for what would happen.
Well, I was
on that
proven
Tuesday
wrong
evening.
from the past
It began
couple
like
of
every other
stories.
night, quiet, with a few patrons meandering in at their own pace. Orders as monotonous as the menu itself. I was working the register, taking orders while keeping an eye on the clock, ticking down the hours to the end of my shift. It was around 10 p.m. when the doors swung open, and 3 rowdy teenagers came rushing in, laughing and pushing each other as they threaded their way to the counter. They were boisterous, almost to the point of being obnoxious.
Those
but
are
harmless.
37-year-olds.
They filed behind an older woman who seemed transfixed by her phone. The line crept forward, and the boys became restless. One of them, a tall kid with a shock of blue hair, brushed past the woman, making his way to the front.
Yeah.
Hey, no cutting.
She snapped,
Alpha.
looking up from her screen, her eyes narrowing.
Shut up,
Shrugged,
you omega
clearly
fuck.
unbothered. Chill, lady. We're just trying to get some food.
Can't you see that
The
I'm
tension was immediate.
I am an
and seemed
alpha
to thicken
male?
the air. I stood there frozen, still over the register, unsure what to do next.
You have to wait in line like everyone else.
I
The
don't
woman
need to
continued,
wait.
moving closer to the boy.
That dog
Her voice
in me
came with
is
a hard edge that
hungry.
made you stand up just a little straighter. The teenager rolled his eyes. However, before he could utter a word, his pals followed suit. They formed a small blockade for the woman.
Oh
on
no,
the
and then
counter,
they did the
smirking
Ginyu Force
along with the
dances.
accusing group. They
struck the
things
pose.
went from bad to worse. The female pulled out her purse and with one swift motion produced a pepper spray canister.
Oh!
I barely had a moment to process what was happening as the woman sprayed it directly into the face of the blue-haired boy. Chaos broke out. The boy screamed and clutched at his eyes as his friends stumbled backward, coughing and gagging as the spray hit them too. The woman
I don't think that's
continued
what you're
spraying,
supposed to
her
do.
face a mask of rage, without stopping until the canister was empty. Security!
Yeah.
Somebody call the police! I shouted, finally breaking out of my trance. I dialed 911, my fingers shaking as they pushed the buttons on my phone. Across from me, people started screaming.
I love how he said, "Quick, somebody call the police." Okay, I'll call the police.
While others ran out of the door and the rest stood filming on their phones. She didn't let it end there. She started to scream at the boys, mashing together curses and accusations. The manager, Tony, a massive guy that has been hiding from everyone in the back, rushed out to try and somewhat put a damper on this situation. "Ma'am, you need to leave, now!" Tony barked, positioning himself between her and the horde of teenagers she so viciously attacked. But she was long gone with reason.
They deserve it. They can't just do whatever they want. I know my rights. And if you come
Hell
any
yeah,
closer,
brother.
I'll spray you too.
She screamed,
Hell yeah,
her
brother.
face flushed with rage, her hand still on the can, ready to spray. Within minutes, the police arriving not in the least to calm the mayhem.
Where
They
are the
cuffed
police?
woman, reading her rights as she continues screaming. The
I guess
teenagers
she
were
didn't
taken
know her
outside, paramedics attending to their burning eyes and reddened skin. I stand in my store at the back of the counter. My mind is racing, trying
High
to
on
keep up
weed.
with what had just gone on. The smell of pepper spray hangs heavily in the air, leaving a burning ache and itching
I'm way
eyes.
too zoinked
I
out for
couldn't
this
help
shit.
but imagine the female face raging in fury, or the cries from the boy. They took all of them in, and I spoke my account as clearly as possible, my voice shaking. They told us that the woman was going to be charged with felony assault. It was still so much like a fantasy that an innocent misunderstanding over cutting in line would suddenly take this violent turn. Just after I
It's
walked
pepper
out
spray.
as my shift ended, it was cool outside from all the heated activity inside, but
Lucky
how quickly things
that's
spiraled
just
out
a
of
regular
control.
occurrence in, like, a Waffle
Impatience
House.
to an extreme
In fact,
reaction.
that's a light
The incident
occurrence.
stayed with me way after that night, sort of being a grim reminder of how unpredictable people could be. Working at Taco Bell wasn't ever the same. Every customer walking through the door was a potential threat, every shift a test of my ability to stay calm in the face of the unexpected. And then,
So it was a
over the
Taco Bell
following weeks, the
experience.
tale of the pepper spraying begins to spread, transforming our quiet Taco Bell into an institution in the community. Strangers began to enter, hoping to glimpse some evidence
Oh my god,
of
and
the
they
drama
became
that did
low-quality
in fact occur there,
JPEGs.
talking to each other in hushed tones as they wait in line.
Happens to
And
the
I
best
sit
of us.
there, contemplating whether any of them carried a canister of pepper spray in their bags, just waiting for an excuse to unleash mayhem.
That's so scary. That mace is their secret sauce. What in God name? What? Let's see. Let's see. IMR Scary Tales. You have 1 million subscribers. Let's see. Ah, yeah. 3 true dark web horror stories animated. That's what I'm talking about.
I should have known better, but love makes you do irrational things. It clouds judgment and makes you blind to consequences. I never believed in all that supernatural crap before, but what happened, what I let happen, changed everything. Lupita's eyes were hollow after the miscarriage. Our baby was gone, and so was her living spirit. It had been months since she last left the bathroom. Her sad, vacant eyes were in a constant quest for hope. Watching her spiral was a torture of its kind. Helplessly devastated, I had tried everything. Therapy, medication, time alone, time together, but nothing could pull her back. I couldn't stand seeing the love of my life wither right in front of me, haunted by the loss of a child we both wanted so desperately. So when Greg mentioned an odd, uncomfortable solution, I hopped on it.
My guy. It's time to let go. It's time to let go of the hair. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you this. Just get a razor and just nab that off, all right? I think it's time.
You know, Jack, there's this thing.
A true warrior knows when to accept
call it a
defeat.
humanized doll. A doll? I deadpanned. Not just any doll. It'll be like the child you were supposed to have. The solution was ridiculous, but a solution nonetheless. In seconds, the order was booked. I'll never forget the day the package arrived. It was a plain brown box, no label, no return address, just sitting on the doorstep like a malignant tumor. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a doll so lifelike it made my breath hitch. It had Lupita's soft brown eyes, my sharp nose, and the hint of a smile that was almost too real. When Lupita saw it, the wall cracked. She cradled the doll like it was flesh and blood, cooing to it. For the first time in weeks, I had seen her smile. My heart swelled with relief. Maybe this would help her heal. Little did I know it was the last moment of peace in our house. The first night I woke to find her in the rocking chair, the doll pressed against her chest. I thought it was a good sign. She was talking to it, humming softly, like any mother would. But as the days wore on, it became clear that this wasn't helping. It was something darker, something unexplainably wrong. Very soon, my wife stopped eating, sleeping, or talking. She spent every waking moment with that doll, feeding it, changing diapers. She named it Baby Blue. I didn't understand why, but I didn't dare ask, too afraid of what she might say. But it wasn't until the night she came at me with a knife that I realized how far gone she was. "Stop it, Peta. This ain't real." I snapped, only to watch her face twist into a monstrous snarl I'd never seen before. Peta. The woman who lunged at me wasn't my Lupita. She was Baby Blue's mommy, consumed, body and soul. As I stumbled backward, my eyes flicked to the doll, and I froze. Baby Blue's glassy eyes seemed to shimmer with a dark intelligence, and its tiny mouth curled into a sinister grin. The room felt colder. Was she possessed? That afternoon, I decided to stay home and watch. Everything went smoothly until night fell. It must have been around 1 in the morning, and I had just drifted off to sleep when the fire alarm went off. I jolted awake to find the kitchen filled with smoke. Lupita had left a kettle on the stove. God damn it, woman! Did you overcook the steak again?
He has been telling me I'm a bad mother.
She cried.
You are.
Baby Blue to
you
her
overcooked
chest.
the steak.
My blood ran cold. The doll couldn't cry. It was impossible.
Look at it. It looks like a hockey disc.
Her voice rising
or a
in
hockey
pitch,
puck.
growing hysterical. I tried to snap her out of it, yelling that the doll wasn't real, that it was all in her head, but she wouldn't listen. Her face went pale, and she passed out, cradling the doll like it was a real child. I rang the hospital, and help arrived. It might have been 4 in the morning when a strange noise filled the whole house. It was a sound that made my skin crawl. A faint, muffled cry like a baby. My heart pounded in my chest as I listened, holding my breath. It was coming
And
from
then I
the
opened the
nursery.
door, and I was
My
in the
hands
same
trembled
house
as
as
I pushed
PT.
open the door, and there, in the dim light, I saw it. The doll
saw
was crying.
the baby in
I
the sink.
stared at it, horror-stricken, as the soft wailing sound filled the room. The doll's eyes, Lupita's eyes, glowed red, tiny pinpricks of light in the darkness. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead as I approached it. My heart raced as I picked it up, and the crying stopped abruptly. My hands shook as I examined it, feeling something hard beneath its synthetic skin. I tore it open, the synthetic flesh giving way under my hands, and found a small black device nestled inside. It was a camera. That means we were being watched this whole time? A sickening realization washed over me as I dug deeper. The people who were spying
could the
on us
camera
had
see
turned
anything
Lupita's
if it
life
was
into a twisted
inside
form
of the doll?
entertainment. I gathered the evidence, the doll and the camera, and contacted the authorities. We filed charges for invasion of privacy, harassment, and emotional distress.
And if the camera
cybercrime
could see
department
anything,
tried
then
to
it would have
trace the
been
website,
visible.
But it led to a block. People who use dark web are masters in hiding and staying in the dark. I was warned strictly for choosing to buy items.
Users of the dark web are really good at hiding and staying in the dark. I love that. Please stop ruining my immersion. I'm sorry,
From
I'm
the
sorry.
illegal front of the internet. We changed house and phone numbers to stay away from further stalkers. Lupita is still undergoing psychiatric counseling to deal with the loss of our child and the trauma caused by that doll. All I have understood is that grief is the love which has nowhere to go, but we shouldn't let it decide our lives. As long as we're alive, we must keep living. Moving forward is the real meaning of life, no matter how many storms try to knock you down. I got a text from some girl late last night.
Do not click on this link.
It said, it was a short
YouTube.
YouTube URL. Usually I ignore such messages, but yesterday was a bit rough and I wasn't in the mood to write the
Shaggy
novel
shirt
which I
ass
was working on. So I clicked on that link. It
Oh,
redirected
no.
me to YouTube where a video about some circus
so
from the 60s in
terrifying.
Bombay started playing. Do not forward the video to 2:21 minutes was written in the title. So, of course I did. I shouldn't have done that. At exactly 2:21 seconds, I paused the video. Everything looked quite ordinary. A black and white footage, 3 elephants in the back, a few dwarves ahead, and a bunch of people around. But right in the center
Comment
was a large
13.
drum, on which was written, Comment 13. Curiously, I scrolled down to the comment number 13 in that video, which linked to another YouTube video. I recently started my YouTube channel where I post funny writing advice. The link from that comment took me to my own video, one which I had uploaded 3 days ago. It was an informative video, a rant on the current status of the publishing
It was actually a
industry,
really
but right from the
poggers
start,
video.
Something was
It
different.
was a really nice
It started
video
with a few
essay.
glitches in the video, and then some random numbers and letters started popping up in it. And then my voice suddenly grew heavier and heavier, and then midway into it, the screen went black. The numbers and letters that were dancing around, they soon
It was a complete
converged
analysis
into a
on
new
Grey's
message.
Anatomy.
It was my home address.
It was 17
I
hours
instinctively
long.
shut my laptop and walked out of the room. That was a whole new level of creepy fascination someone could have online. How she got my address, I didn't know. I had no clue as to how she toyed with my video. It should have been impossible. I walked into the kitchen and filled myself a glass of orange juice. When I was back in my room and opened my laptop, I had another message from the same girl.
Hope I didn't scare you.
It read. I wondered if I should reply or not, but I had a bunch of unanswered questions, so I had to ask. I put my orange juice to my side and started chatting with her. How did you know my address? How did you tweak my video? There was
You made
no
me
reply
put down
for a
my
few
orange
minutes, and
juice
then I
for
got an
this.
image. A rather explicit image of a rather gorgeous woman with a rather voluptuous
Nice.
body. Long, dark hair, white tank top over yoga pants.
Yep.
Shaved.
Voluptuous.
Screamed the complete Instagram it girl.
What do you think about me?
Jesus.
She texted next, but I couldn't get my eyes off her image, her top in particular. Not staring at the top, but there was a symbol in the center of her top which freaked the daylights out of me. It's a symbol I made for the purposes of my novel. The novel isn't published yet.
Aw, she's a fan.
Even complete yet. I haven't even shared the draft with anyone at this point. Then how the hell did she know the exact symbol and even got it printed on her top? I lost it. I barely abuse girls, but this time my messages started and ended with swears.
Whoa. What did you say?
Know the exact symbol and even got it printed on her top. I lost it. I barely abuse girls, but this time
I barely abuse girls? Excuse me?
even got it printed on her top. I lost it. I barely abuse girls, but this time my messages started and ended with swears. I need answers.
I barely
Tell
abuse
me the answers.
Girls?
Don't be afraid, babe. It's our little secret.
The fuck it is? Did you hack my computer? I'll go to the police.
Hack a computer? I barely even know how to work PowerPoint.
How do you know my address? How did you get that symbol?
I guess.
You guessed? Nostradamus just rolled in his grave. Tell me, who the hell are you and how are you doing this?
You
I
nerd.
just want to be your friend, babe.
Stop calling me that. Just answer my questions.
I already told you the answer.
What? Where?
You didn't read the 13th comment on that YouTube video completely, did you?
I was pissed off. I didn't even know if it was a girl or some scamster who was trying to blackmail me. I went through the entire process again and landed at that circus video. Scrolled down furiously to the 13th comment. The last time I was at it,
How do you
it
scroll
just
down
had the YouTube
furiously?
link to my tempered video. This time, there was a text. Don't scroll down to the 20th comment. I wondered how she was doing this. I scrolled down immediately to the 20th comment, which read, "Don't click on this link." I clicked on that link and arrived at my own blog from 7 years ago, on which there was a suggested edit now, which said, "Don't go into the edit logs of this blog." I rushed to the edit logs, just wanting this mystery to end, and it did. In the edit logs, a previous version of that answer existed, which just read this: "Thank you for the delicious orange juice."
Oh. What?
I looked to my right.
You son of a bitch! You stole my
glass of
orange
was
juice!
empty, and I had not had a single
No!
drop of it.
That was the scariest
Meeting
one of
Kelly
all.
felt like something out of a dream. A weird, dark dream, but a dream nonetheless. I've never been the type of guy who gets the girl. Hell, I've never even been the type of guy who talks to the girl. My comfort
Hey, it's
zone has
TK.
always been behind a computer screen where I could control the conversation, where my awkwardness didn't show, and where I wasn't constantly reminded of how much of a loser I am. I wasn't looking for anything special when I stumbled into the dark web chat room. It was more out of boredom than anything else. But then I met Kelly. She was different from anyone I'd ever
Kelly?
talked to. Confident, funny, and actually interested in what I had to say. She didn't just tolerate my nerdy ramblings, she engaged with them, made me feel like I mattered. For someone like me, who's always been a bit of a loner, that meant the world. Kelly wasn't perfect. She had her issues, just like I did. She told me about her struggle with hair loss, a condition that made her feel invisible and unattractive. She said no guy ever looked at her the way she wanted to be looked at. That hit me hard because I know what it felt like to be overlooked, to feel like you don't matter. We bonded
Harry
over
Potter.
the shared feeling of not fitting in, and before long I found myself falling for her. After weeks of late-night chats, we decided it was time to meet in person. We picked an abandoned children's park out in the middle of nowhere.
Why the fuck would you choose that? What kind of... Why would that be like your first option? Yeah, let's meet up at an abandoned park.
Perfect. A quiet, out-of-the-way spot where we could finally see each other without any pressure. I was nervous as hell, but I couldn't wait to see her. The park was even creepier than I'd imagined. The sun had just set, leaving everything in that dim, unsettling twilight where nothing feels quite real. I got there early, sat on a bench near an old, rusted swing set, and waited. The place was dead quiet, and with each passing minute, my nerves started to get the best of me. Then, I noticed him. A creepy old man sitting on a bench a little ways off. He was just staring at me. Not a casual glance, but a full-on, unsettling stare.
We met at the
I tried to ignore him, but it wasn't
sex
easy.
and a Ouija
I pulled
club.
out my phone and texted Kelly, asking how long she'd be. She replied that she was walking because she couldn't catch a cab. Great, I thought. Just what I needed. To be stuck here alone with this weirdo watching me. I shifted on the bench, trying to act like I wasn't bothered, but I couldn't
What if that
help
was
it.
your lover?
The old man's stare was drilling into me, and every instinct I had was screaming that something was wrong. Then he stood up and started walking toward me. My heart skipped a beat. I'm not usually paranoid, but this guy was seriously creeping me out. I got up and started walking away, texting Kelly the whole time, telling her about the old man and that I was moving to another spot. She told me to wait a few minutes, that she'd be there soon, but I couldn't wait. I just needed to get away.
Wait,
I spotted a bus stop at the edge of the park, lit by a flickering streetlight. It wasn't much, but it was something. I made my way there, trying to calm myself down. As I reached the bus stop, I looked back, and there he was, standing across the street, grinning at me.
Well, yeah, he can
That
follow
grin
you,
sent
you
a
know.
shiver down my spine. It was like he knew something I didn't, like he was enjoying my fear. I needed to hear Kelly's voice, to know that she was real and that this wasn't some messed up joke. But I didn't have her number. We'd been so caught up in our chat room world that we never thought to exchange phone numbers. I cursed myself for that, then texted her, saying the internet was spotty and asking for her number. She didn't reply right away, and those few seconds felt like an eternity. Finally, her number popped up in the chat. I didn't waste a second. I called it immediately.
That's not even a full number!
The phone rang once, then twice, and then I heard it. The ringtone, echoing through the empty street. My heart sank. I looked around, but the street was deserted. No sign of Kelly. No sign of anyone. Panic set in.
No.
I looked across the street again, but the old man was gone. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't. Everything about this felt wrong. My hands were shaking as I dialed her number again. The ringtone started up, louder this time, closer, right behind me. I turned around slowly, every muscle in my body tense.
Oh,
the
no!
old man was crouched on the bus stop bench, grinning at me like he'd just won some sick game. "Hello, Ryan," he said, his voice dripping with malice. "I hope my hair is fine for you. I didn't want to wear a wig on our first date." I stared at him, my mind racing to make sense of what was happening. Kelly's words, her stories about her hair loss, her vulnerability, it all came crashing down on me in a sickening realization. This wasn't Kelly. It had been him all along. He lunged at me, and I reacted without thinking. My fist connected with his face, and he stumbled back, blood streaming from his nose. I didn't wait to see what he'd do next. I turned and ran, his voice echoing after me. "Stop, Ryan! Stop! I thought you were different. I thought you loved me." I didn't stop running until I was back at my apartment, the door locked behind me, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I felt sick, violated, like I'd been played from the start. I wiped my phone and computer clean that night, erasing every trace of that chat room, of Kelly, if that was even her real name, of everything. I was done with the dark web, done with trusting people online. I learned my lesson the hard way. The dark web is a dangerous place, and sometimes the people
Why would you
meet
want to
there
meet someone?
aren't people at all.
Why the fuck would you meet someone through the dark web, you dumbass? What the fuck? Hold on, Ghost wants out. Give me one sec. Don't scroll to the 13th comment, Parafox. All right, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13. 3 frightening jungle horror stories. A chameleon demon in the jungle. Hordes of undead Aztec warriors in the jungle. Trapped in a cursed dark jungle. Camping horror stories. Well, that was fucking awesome. The second story. How exactly is it true? How was the orange juice gone? And there's no one in the house but him. Spooky ghost emoji. Is it just me, or does the doll in first story look like Chucky from Child's Play? Yup, LMAO, it truly is. For real, in the thumbnail, I was like, Chucky, dat you? Chucky, dat you? Bro, that's a catfish, my guy. What are these comments? Love your videos, IMR. You think any of these are bot comments? I like his animations the most. Heart emoji. Something about this doesn't really scream genuinity. Bro has to make more. Make it scarier. First part was too scary. It was too scary. Shocking story I have ever had. What app is used to make this animation? It was Adobe Flash CC 2008. Paint. Hey, this animation is better than MS Paint. Come on. It's beautiful. I love vector art. Fuck rasterizing. I wish that I knew how to use Adobe Illustrator. But the menu, or just the UI on Illustrator is just way too complicated for my old head. I don't understand it. Photoshop is easy to me. Photoshop just comes natural to me now. True creepy roommate horror stories animated.
Moving in with a new roommate was supposed to be a fresh start. After a messy breakup and the end of my lease, finding Megan's ad for a room felt like a stroke of luck. The apartment was charming. A vintage 2-bedroom and hardwood floors and a small balcony
so charming.
overlooking the city.
Like Frank
Megan
Sinatra.
was quiet and a little weird looking. She had big dark circles and red eyes.
I just had a really good burger. Do you think it's haunted? Was it the what was that movie called? That new movie. Is it the Beetlejuice Whopper? Was that the or the Addams Family? Was it the Addams Family Whopper? Cuz that shit is haunted in a bad way. In like a way that I actually don't want to eat it. There's something about the look of a purple burger that doesn't look appetizing to me. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't look right. It looks bad. Like, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to eat purple bread. That makes me think that something's wrong with it. Like it has an infection. Like, how are they making this bread purple? What are they doing to it? Just food coloring? It scares me. It's too scary. This Whopper is too scary for me. I can't eat it. But yeah, is this the burger that you ate, Elder Raven? Did you eat the Addams Family menu Whopper?
On the first night, as I unpacked boxes in my new room, I heard faint scraping noises coming from the walls. It was a rhythmic sound, like nails dragging across plaster. I pressed my ear against the cold surface.
Is someone there?
Silence. At
Where was
breakfast
the
the
burger
next morning,
from?
I mentioned it casually.
Did you just
Hey.
make it yourself?
Do you ever hear weird
Are you a
noises at
burger
night?
master?
Like scratching?
Megan looked up from her tea, her expression unreadable.
It's an old building. It makes sounds.
She sipped slowly, her gaze lingering on me just a moment too long. Days passed and the unsettling noises continued. One evening, I noticed tiny holes in the walls of my bedroom, almost imperceptible. They were strategically placed.
Ah, the
one
old
facing
glory
my bed,
holes.
another the bathroom. Peering through one, I saw only darkness. I grabbed some tape and paper, covering them up. But the next morning, the coverings were gone. The holes seemed wider. A sense of violation washed over me. I confronted Megan.
Did you remove the paper I put on my wall?
She glanced at me,
Megan!
eyes reflecting the dim kitchen light.
Why would I go into your room? Maybe you imagined putting them up?
That night, sleep eluded me. Every creak of the apartment amplified my paranoia. Around 2 a.m., I heard the scraping again, louder this time, almost agitated. It seemed to move along the wall, stopping right behind my headboard. I whispered into the darkness.
Who are you? What do you want?
A faint giggle
I'm the
echoed in
trash
response.
man.
The following day, I found my closet door ajar. Clothes I hadn't
Oh.
worn were missing. Hours later, they reappeared, folded neatly on my bed. A scent clung
that's
to
nice.
them, a mix of damp earth and something sweet, almost rotten.
Aw.
I decided to stay out late, avoiding the apartment. At a coffee shop, I opened my laptop to distract myself, but the webcam light flickered on in the middle.
Using telepathy? What the hell was that? How'd she do
I
that?
opened my laptop to distract myself.
Oh! That was incredible.
The webcam light flickered on in the middle. I frowned, clicking to disable it. Moments later, an anonymous message popped up on my screen.
Why don't you want me to see you?
My heart raced.
Who is this?
No response. I slammed the laptop shut and headed home. In my
Yeah.
room, I locked the door and pushed a chair
Real
against it.
harshly.
Exhausted, I collapsed onto the bed, clutching a kitchen knife under my pillow. Sometime during
Well,
the
sometimes
night,
you're just
I
gonna-
felt a presence.
Oh.
My eyes fluttered open to see Megan standing at the foot of my bed.
Hey,
her silhouette
Megan!
illuminated by the faint glow of the streetlights outside.
What's good, girl?
Megan? What are you doing?
What you
She
doing?
tilted her head.
Can't sleep?
You were
Had a nightmare?
screaming.
Want to sleep with me?
I wanted to make sure you're okay.
I hadn't screamed.
Please, get
Hey.
She lingered for a moment before slipping out of the room. The next morning, I decided I couldn't stay there any longer. I began packing, determined to leave by nightfall. As I gathered my things, a small flash drive fell out of one of my boxes. I didn't recognize it. Curiosity
Wait a
overrode
minute.
caution. Plugging it
Aw.
into the laptop, I opened the only folder on it labeled "For Claire." Dozens of video files appeared, each marked with a date. Clicking on the most recent one,
Was it
my
gifted to you
screen
by
filled with
Mozart?
a grainy night vision
Or wait,
recording
sorry,
of my
no,
bedroom.
my bad, I
watched
thought-
in
never mind.
horror as footage played of
I
me
was thinking of
sleeping,
Fur Elise.
tossing and turning. The timestamp was from the night before. My breath caught as the camera panned, revealing Megan standing in the corner watching me.
Megan!
Her eyes gleamed unnaturally in the infrared light. I clicked on another
polite.
file. It showed me in the bathroom, undressing for a shower. Tears
Well, she
blurred
just
my
wanted
vision
to make sure
as
that
I
you
realized
knew
the
your
extent of the
bathing
invasion.
rituals.
A final file sat at the bottom of the list, titled "Tonight."
I
With
thought
a
you said
shaking
that was
hand,
the
I
only
opened
file.
It was a live feed of my room. From the angle, it was clear the camera was inside the wall. Suddenly, the video shook and a message flashed across the screen.
I'm coming.
A loud thud resonated from the hallway. Panic surged through me. I grabbed my phone to call the police.
Girl,
but
I'm
there
just
was no
stroking my
signal.
shit.
The lights flickered and then went out, plunging the apartment into darkness. Footsteps approached. The doorknob rattled.
Claire, let me in.
Her voice was distorted. I backed away, clutching the knife. The door creaked open. It shouldn't have. I'd locked it.
No!
She stood there, but something was wrong. Her limbs were too long, joints bending at unnatural angles. Her face was dark, eyes sunken deep.
You shouldn't have tried to leave.
I screamed, darting past her and into the hallway. From behind, I heard the scraping, the same I'd heard in the walls, now
No!
amplified, chasing me. Bursting into the living room, I found the front door, but it wouldn't budge. Megan's laughter echoed. Desperate, I smashed a window with a nearby chair and crawled out, cutting myself on the shards. I ran into the night.
Why do you always
not
cut?
stopping
Why do
until I
they
reached a
always
brightly
cut
lit
themselves
gas
cut
station.
themselves on the
attendant
shards?
stared as I stumbled in, disheveled and bleeding. Miss, are you okay? I tried to explain, words tumbling incoherently. They called the police, who arrived swiftly. I told them everything about Megan, the cameras, the flash drive. An officer frowned. Ma'am, that building's been abandoned for years. My blood turned to ice.
No. I moved in last week. Megan is my roommate.
They exchanged glances. We'll take a look. But the last tenant in that apartment was a woman named Margaret.
We'll take a look.
Who died
But my
decades
car is
ago.
too low res for
They
me to
escorted
actually
back.
do anything
the
about
building
it.
stood ahead, windows boarded up,
You
graffiti
think this?
covering
You
the
think this
walls.
JPEG is
Inside,
going anywhere?
dust
I don't
coated
think so.
every surface. My belongings were nowhere to be seen. In the apartment where I'd lived, only decay remained. But in the center of the living room sat a single item, a vintage camcorder on a tripod, pointing towards the door. Attached was a note in familiar handwriting.
Thank you for the performance.
I stared in disbelief.
Hell yeah!
The officers
You're
guided
welcome.
me outside as I trembled uncontrollably.
Story 2.
It's strange how close someone can come to your heart without you ever realizing they're slowly squeezing it, draining life away with every beat. Claudia and I were sisters in every sense of the word, except blood. Ever since I met her 20 years back at a charity event, she'd been there through everything. My marriage, Jake's birth, my divorce. When Mike left, it was Claudia who stood by my side, mopping my tears and helping me piece together my shattered life.
What's that kid
Jake
doing?
loved her too.
What happened to that kid's
hand?
hand?
Surgery, I didn't think twice about letting her practically move in to help. I trusted her with everything. She cooked, cleaned, and took care of Jake. She was my rock, always smiling that warm, understanding smile.
Is this where she realizes that she's a lesbian?
Tiny things, almost invisible at first. The sickness had started shortly after Jake's 17th birthday. A simple cold at first, nothing to be concerned about. Then it grew and kept growing until the fatigue became unbearable, creeping into my bones. No matter how much I rested, it only deteriorated. I was in and out of the doctor's office, subjecting myself to tests that gave no answers. No matter what I tried, no matter how many pills they shoved down my throat, my body was failing me. It wasn't until later I got to know that it wasn't just my body failing. Claudia began acting strange. She was quieter around Jake, visibly more nervous. At first, I ignored it. What was there to doubt? She was a mother figure for Jake, right? And the stress of caring for me and Jake couldn't have been easy. I asked her about it once. We were sitting in my dimly lit living room, the cold shadows pressing against the walls like silent spectators. Claudia giggled nervously.
Jake ain't our tiny boy anymore, Lila. He's growing up and learning things that he wants to experience.
Claudia avoided
going on
my
the dark
eyes,
web.
but I had seen it. The wave
He's
of
buying,
disgust had almost knocked me
Cracadil.
over. I needed to have a chat with Jake. That afternoon, Claudia was out shopping when I brought it up with Jake. We were alone, and the house was heavy with the kind of silence that bruises deep into your skin.
Jake?
I started, my voice shaky.
What is Claudia to you?
He looked at me, confused at first, then his nostrils flared. My son was furious at the accusation. He suggested I'd interrogate her friend instead. She had been suggesting me things, Mom. The way he said it, his voice strained, almost panicked, sent a shiver down my spine. I kept quiet because I didn't want to stress you out. I dismissed his claims of innocence, a growing teen fueled by hormones, seeing things that weren't there. Claudia had always treated him like her own son. It had to be him. You don't understand, Mom, he snapped, his face flushed with frustration. I'll prove it to you. I should have listened, but instead I brushed him off. That night,
I'll just go fuck her right now.
My skin felt cold and clammy. My breath came in shallow
Oh
gasps.
no.
I was trapped in my body, helpless as it collapsed under the weight
Oh
of
my
an
God, you're
illness I
still
could not
sick.
understand. I laboriously dragged my sweaty body towards Claudia's room, hoping to get help. Little did I know, I was in for the biggest shock of my life. I overheard Claudia. She was on the phone to someone. Her voice was a low, eerie whisper.
I'm going to take him away forever.
She said. Him?
Oh no!
Her words clawed at my mind, sending a wave of nausea through me. Who was she talking to? What did she mean? Before I could confront her, Jake stormed in and dragged me out to the hospital, pale and frantic. In his hands, he held vials, small glass containers, and petri dishes he'd found hidden in Claudia's room earlier. He showed me the labels, words I didn't understand, but they reeked of a lethal scheme. My mind spun. I didn't want to believe it. Not Claudia, not her. But deep down, I knew. I immediately rang Dr. Maya, an old colleague from my nursing days, begging her to help me. She ran the tests, and when the results came back, they shattered what little remained of my world. The infections weren't natural. They were induced. Someone had been slowly poisoning me, introducing resistant bacteria into my system. That someone was Claudia. The realization hit me like a freight train. The woman I'd trusted with my life, my son's life, had been killing me, slowly, methodically, for months, all to take Jake away. I couldn't breathe. Dr. Maya called the authorities. Detective O'Hara, an investigator, took over, and soon the FBI got involved. They set a trap. Claudia had been expecting another shipment of the bacteria. This time, they intercepted it. The night they arrested her, I watched from the window as they pulled her away in handcuffs. She fought, screamed, and denied everything. But under the weight of the evidence, she had to crack. Claudia confessed how she believed I wasn't fit to raise Jake and didn't deserve Mike. She thought I was a failure, and everyone involved in my life deserved better.
Removing her was necessary.
She screamed. I shuddered when the police car's red and blue lights faded into the night. Claudia was gone, but her shadow lingered, a stain I'd never be able to wash away. Claudia was everything Jake and I talked about for days to come. We had survived, but the world felt colder now, darker. There was no more illusions left, just the terrifying truth that the truth might be what the eyes couldn't see. And everything that we see isn't always the truth. Moving into a new apartment in the city was supposed to be a fresh start. After months of searching, I finally found a place that fit my budget and came with a roommate named Rachel. She was quiet and had her quirks. The first night after unpacking, I took a long shower to wash away the stress. The bathroom was small but clean, with a clawfoot tub and a shower curtain adorned with abstract patterns. I closed the curtain fully before stepping in, enjoying the hot water cascading over me. When I finished, I noticed the curtain was slightly ajar. Shrugging it off, I dried myself and headed to bed. In the morning, as I made my way to the kitchen, I noticed wet footprints leading from the bathroom to Rachel's room. They were small, like mine, but I hadn't been in the bathroom since the night before.
Hey, Rachel. Did you take a shower last night?
She looked up from her cereal, a hint of confusion on her face.
No. I went to bed early.
She looked up from her cereal.
Why? I hesitated.
No reason. Must have been my imagination.
Over the next few days, the unsettling incidents continued. My toothbrush disappeared from its holder, only to reappear in my room, damp and with a strange metallic taste when I used it. One evening, I returned home to find the shower running. Steam billowed from under the bathroom door. Knocking softly, I called out.
Rachel? You in there?
No response. I opened the door cautiously.
Hey, Rachel.
The room was empty, the mirror fogged over. Written in the condensation was my name, scrawled repeatedly. My heart pounded.
Rachel, this isn't funny.
She appeared behind me, startling me.
What's wrong?
I pointed to the mirror.
Did you do this?
She glanced at the mirror, her face unreadable.
I don't see anything.
I blinked, and when I looked back, the writing was gone. Sleep became difficult. Every creak in the apartment set my nerves on edge. One night, a soft whispering pulled me from sleep. I strained to listen. Throwing off the covers, I crept toward the sound. It led me to the bathroom. The door was slightly open, a sliver of light cutting through the darkness. Peering inside, I saw Rachel standing in front of the mirror, her hands tracing circles on its surface.
Rachel?
She didn't turn.
Rachel?
She doesn't see. She doesn't know.
A chill ran down my
Clearly she
spine.
sees. She has her eyes open. Look.
Her head snapped toward me, eyes wide and lips curled into a grin that didn't reach her eyes.
You're up late.
I backed away.
Couldn't sleep.
She stepped closer.
You should rest. Big day tomorrow.
I fled to my room, locking the door behind me.
Big day tomorrow.
Determined to uncover what was happening, I decided to search Rachel's room while she was out. Her room was sparse, a neatly made bed, a dresser, and an odd number of mirrors lining the walls. But as I opened her closet, my missing items tumbled out. Clothes, towels, even my hairbrush, all arranged meticulously. At the back of the closet, I found a notebook filled with pages upon pages of handwriting. It was my name, written over and over, interspersed with bizarre sketches of faces, some mine, others distorted versions. A floorboard creaked behind me.
Looking for
She's
something?
the artistic
I spun
type.
around, the notebook clutched to my chest.
Why do you have my things?
She tilted her head, eyes glinting.
Borrowed them. You have such good taste.
I tried to steady my voice.
This isn't normal. You're invading my privacy.
She took a step forward.
Privacy? We're roommates. We share everything.
I edged toward the door.
I think I need to find a new place.
Her smile faded.
Uh-oh.
You can't leave. Not when we're so close.
I didn't wait to hear more. Pushing past her, I ran to my room to grab my phone. As I dialed 911, the line went dead. No signal. Rachel's voice echoed from the hallway.
You won't get away that easily.
Desperate, I tried the front door, but it was bolted shut. The lock jammed.
She
Panic
shut off
surged.
my service.
Rushing back to the
How?
bathroom, I thought of escaping through the window. As I entered, something caught my eye. A small red light blinking in the mirror. Leaning
What?
in, I realized it wasn't a mirror at all, but a two-way window with a camera embedded behind it. A video feed played on Rachel's tablet, propped discreetly on the counter. It was
How
me,
the
in
fuck
various states
did
of
you-
undress, showering, brushing my teeth, even sleeping. Horror washed
How?
over me.
How did that?
What
What?
have you done?
Rachel stood in
What?
the doorway, blocking my exit.
I've been documenting us. Our lives
Yeah.
together.
I glared at her. Her features seemed to blur for a moment, shifting subtly to resemble mine.
What are you talking about?
She stepped
What
closer,
are you talking
her
about?
voice eerily calm.
I've always admired you, Lisa. Your life, your friends, your smile. I want it all.
I realized then that her clothes were mine, fitting her perfectly. Her hair, once brown, now had streaks matching my own blonde highlights.
You're insane.
She lunged at me, and we
Ah!
grappled, knocking over the table. The screen shattered, and a distorted video played, showing her practicing my mannerisms, mimicking my voice. With a surge of adrenaline, I pushed her away and raced toward the kitchen. Grabbing a knife, I faced her.
Stay back.
She laughed, a sound devoid of any warmth.
You can't hurt me. We're the same now.
Sirens wailed in the distance. As I would learn later, a neighbor had heard the commotion.
Oh
and
no,
called
which
the
one
police.
do I shoot?
Rachel's expression twisted into rage.
You ruined everything.
She charged at me, but before she could reach me, the door burst open. An officer stormed in. "Drop the weapon!" I realized they were shouting
What?
at me. I dropped the knife, hands raised.
Help me. She's trying to steal my identity.
They glanced at Rachel. who
Oh
now
my
stood
god! I called it! I fucking called it!
cowering, tears streaming down her face.
I don't know what's happening. She just attacked me.
Confusion flooded me.
No, she's lying. She's been spying on me.
An officer gently restrained me.
No! Ask her what happened in Geneva. And then call my
What?
mom to confirm.
Her smile faded. She made up a story about how a burglar had stolen her purse. But then the cops dialed my mother, who confirmed with the fact that I have never been to Geneva. She was arrested. I had to present my passport as the truth that I had never indeed been there. I don't know why she did that, but I convinced myself that
Yeah,
she
wait,
must have
why
been a
didn't they just
psycho
use their
to
IDs?
try to become someone else.
What? Sub? Hey. What? You don't know that. You don't know that I'm a sub. You do not know that. This is ridiculous. All right, give me one sec. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and then when I come back, We will have TK on the other end, and we will be playing some spooky games. I'll be right back. Spooky time. Spooky time.